Alright, what is good? What is happening, everybody? It's your boy Primitive AK here, back with another video for you guys. Today, we're going to be showcasing the top 10 class setups to be using for Warzone. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe, just showcasing what I believe to be are the 10 best class setups to be using for Warzone for those that are jumping into that. We'll also be doing a follow-up video for the top 10 best loadouts for multiplayer as well, for those that want to go ahead and check that out. So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys showing love and support as always. Let's go ahead and get right to it. So, this is in no particular order. This is just kind of randomly ordered, and you can skip to certain points in the video if you want to see a specific class setup. So first things first is going to be the brand new XRK sniper rifle. This is a brand new sniper that was introduced in season 1, and it's going to be a very hard-hitting sniper that's going to be pretty reliable at a lot of ranges. The loadout we're going to be rocking for this one is going to be the Sonic Suppressor XL to give you that extra range. We're going to be using the Fission 60 barrel to give you extra range as well. We got the OLED laser to boost up that extra aim down sight time. Because you're going to be dealing with longer range targets, you don't usually need to worry too much about the laser being visible at all. Next up, we have the Stalker Light Bolt, which is going to give you that extra rechambering speed. And last but not least, the high grain rounds. It's a very versatile and reliable sniper, so I strongly recommend you guys go ahead and give it a shot. Next up on our list is going to be the all-rounder Black Cell Ram 7 Blueprint. This is by far one of my new favorite weapons in the game, both multiplayer and Warzone. For the class setup on this one's going to be a high rate of fire AR. I would probably not recommend using this on longer range, but this will be pretty versatile in closer range as well. So we've got the FRL3 heavy barrel. We've got the Spitfire suppressor to go with this bad boy. We got the 60 round drum. Pretty much there's no better mag to be using it in this case. We got the Corio Eagle Eye 2.5 times scope, and also the HVS 3.4 pad to go with it. Like I said, this is better treated as a mid-range assault rifle rather than a longer range assault rifle. But don't worry, I got you guys covered on long range. We'll get right to that as well. Moving on to our next class setup, which is probably going to be the more all-around fan favorite, and that's going to be the ACR or the MCW. This is a pretty all-around great assault rifle. It's not terrible at anything, but it's also not great at anything. It's just reliable. I think that's the better way to describe it. It's just pretty balanced. So the loadout we got for this thing's going to be the Cyclone Long Barrel for that extra range with your weapon. We got the Spitfire, Spirit Fire suppressor to go with this thing. We have the Corio Eagle Eye 2.5 scope. And for those that are not aware, the Corio Eagle Eye is going to be your go-to sight for a lot of the assault rifles in Warzone. It's a very, very good scope, so I highly recommend you guys rock this one. We also got the RB Regal heavy stock to go with this bad boy for the extra recoil control of about 20%, which is pretty handy. And we also have our 60 round drum to go with it. Overall, like I said, this is a very reliable AR, and I strongly recommend you guys give this one a shot. Moving on to our next weapon here, we've got the DG56, which is a burst fire weapon inside of Modern Warfare 3. This thing is a pretty reliable weapon. I've been seeing a lot of pro players use this one, so this one may be the meta option that you guys want to go ahead and give a shot here. But let's go ahead and showcase the class we got for this thing. We got the DG56 LS18 barrel, which is going to give you that huge amount of boost to your range. We got the Spirit Fire suppressor, once again, still the best suppressor to be using on a lot of your ARs in that category. We also got the Bruen Heavy support grip, which is going to give you that extra gun kick control as well, which is very, very useful here, coming in at about 10 to 12% here on your recoil control. We also have our Eagle Eye 2.5 times scope. Once again, like I said, this is pretty standard for a lot of these weapons. And last but not least, we have the 60 round drum to go with this weapon. So once again, an all-around great weapon to be using. Highly recommend you guys give it a shot. You certainly won't be disappointed with the way this thing performs. Now, moving on, we've got our next weapon here, which is going to be a secondary weapon that I recommend you guys rock if you're using a dual weapon loadout here, and that's going to be the WPS Swarm submachine gun as your secondary weapon if you're using overkill, because this thing, if you guys remember in the previous Warzone iteration, there was what's known as the MAC-10, and that was a very, very powerful weapon in Warzone 1, and in the new iteration of Warzone, we have a similar case here with the WPS Swarm, which by far is a bullet hose in a good way. This thing absolutely melts people up close, and I highly recommend you guys give it a shot. For our class on this bad boy, we got the WSP Ruthless L barrel. We've got the Shadow Strike suppressor to give you that suppressor on it. We've got the SL Skeletal vertical grip as well here to go with the ADS speed and movement speed bonuses. We got the 50 round mag as well, which is a big help. You don't need the 100 round drum. It's just not really needed here since this is mostly used for cleanup kills. And last but not least, we got the FSS Fortress heavy stock to go with it as our icing on the cake with this weapon. Very reliable weapon, very powerful, and it is very reliable up close. Moving on to our next weapon here, and this one's going to be kind of a surprise to a lot of people, I bet, and that's going to be the Holger 26, or what I like to call the G36 LMG. The reason why we're picking this one is because it has the range of an LMG, the range of an AR, but it also has a lighter mag, which allows for it to have a little bit more mobility compared to some of the other LMGs in the game. Now let's talk about what we got for the class setup on this thing. We've got the Spirit Fire Suppressor once again. We've got the Holger Factory Barrel again here to give us the extra boost to our range and recoil control with the weapon. Eagle Eye is going to be our go-to scope. Once again, it's going to be the standard for a lot of the classes here. We've got the Ascent Lord stock here, which is going to give us a huge boost to our recoil control at the cost of a little bit of movement speed, so just bear that in mind there. And last but not least, we got the Hound 9G grip as well to give us more recoil control with the weapon. This weapon is not as good as some of the other ones that I've listed. As a matter of fact, I would probably put this one towards the bottom of the list, but the reason why we're adding this one is because the LMGs are kind of a hidden gem in a lot of certain scenarios, so it's maybe something that you may want to give a shot here. But let's go ahead and get to our next weapon. The next weapon is probably going to be a surprise to some of you guys, and that's actually going to be an MW2 weapon. We have the Fennec 45 here that can be used in Warzone for those that are curious. But the reason why we're adding this in is because this one is very similar to the WPS Swarm in terms of its performance, but it does have some pretty nice attributes to go with it, with a little bit more mobility, which is why we're adding it to the list here. So, class setup we got here is going to be the Shadow Strike Suppressor to go with this bad boy. We've got the Skeletal Vertical Grip for the extra aim down sight and vertical control. We've got the 45 high grain rounds. This is huge help in being able to sort of stay off the radar while also having the extra range to go with it. We also got the 45 round mag to go with the Fennec as well. And last but not least, the Agile Assault 7 stock as well, which is more or less just the icing on the cake here that can kind of give you that extra boost to your movement speed with the weapon. So, not a bad weapon. It's not the greatest, but it does hold up well against a lot of the other MW3 weapons, which seem to be kind of the absolute meta right now. Moving on to our next weapon, it's going to be another LMG on the list, and that's going to be the Bruen MK9. For those that remember in classic MW 2019 or the old school Warzone, we had this weapon in that game, and it returned yet again in Modern Warfare 3. And this time we're going to be showcasing what I believe to be is a pretty solid class setup to be using for the Bruen MK9. Now, do bear in mind you are going to run out of ammo very quickly when using this class, because this thing does chew through ammo with its very high rate of fire, and also the fact that you're now limiting this gun to a 60 round mag, so you may run out of ammo pretty quickly with this thing, but this thing is pretty much capable of mowing down your enemies at a fairly decent time to kill. So let's talk about the class setup that we have here. We got the 23 NSXRK Horizon V2 for the extra range and recoil control. We've got that Sonic Suppressor to go with it as well for the extra range. We've got the Bruen Heavy Support Grip as well, and the 60 round mag as well. This will boost up the aim down sight speed by roughly about 6%, or not 10%, sorry, across the board, and it's going to give you a huge amount of reload bonuses as well as movement speed. Pretty much green across the board. There's really no negatives to using this one outside of a smaller mag. We also have the Eagle Eye 2.5 scope. Like I said, it's going to be a standard across the board for a lot of the primary weapons in the game that you're going to be using in Warzone, because of the fact that a lot of your fights will be medium range. The only time you'll have close range is when you have an SMG, per the reason why I gave you guys that SMG class setup. But overall, very reliable class, and like I said, this thing's going to chew through ammo quick, so just bear that in mind. Keep an eye on that ammo count when using this bad boy. Moving on, we've got another MW2 weapon on the list here. This is going to be probably not much of a surprise to a lot of you guys, and that's going to be the ISO 9mm, which is another SMG that was a DLC weapon in Modern Warfare 2. But this thing's got some pretty high rate of fire. It's up there with the Fennec and also the other SMG in the game, the WPS Swarm. And the reason for that, this thing still has much faster mobility capabilities with this weapon here, which is why we're adding this one to the list here. But our attachments here, we've got the Shadow Strike Suppressor here to go with it again for our suppressor attributes. We've got the VLCR 7mW laser. Don't worry about your laser being seen with this one. It's not really like, it's not meant to be like a super stealthy class. It's just meant to get in, get out quick, and get those cleanup kills up close. We got the SL Skeletal Vertical Grip here to go with it again for the ADS and also gun kick control. 50 round drum, because there is no point using the default mag at 33, and the 20 round mag is just kind of a waste of an attachment there. And last but not least, we got the Demo Fade Tac also to go with that sprint speed, which is going to give you roughly about 2.5% to the extra sprint speed, as well as ADS movement speed and TAC movement speed as well. Very reliable SMG. Highly recommend you guys give it a shot. And moving on to our next weapon here, we've got the Bass B, which is going to be another versatile weapon. However, this one I'm going to put a little bit lower on the list here, which is probably part of the reason why I listed this one last on the list. But overall, like I said, this one's got some decent range to it, but I feel like there's a better way for this weapon to be performing, and that's why I kind of included this one like sort of last towards the video. But overall, like I said, this thing still has high damage, but it just for some reason lacks the range. I'm not sure why. It kicks around a lot too, which is another issue that you may run into when using this weapon. But nevertheless, class setup we got for this thing's going to be that 2.5 scope yet again. We've got the Bruen Venom long barrel to give us that extra range and recoil control. You are losing a bit of movement speed with this weapon, so just bear that in mind. We got the Spirit Fire suppressor to go with this thing as well, and we also have our Bruen heavy support grip. And last but not least, once again, it's going to be the 45 round mag. Unfortunately, that's the biggest mag that you can put on this one. I was hoping for a 60, but unfortunately, that's just not the case here. But regardless, like I said, it's not a bad weapon. It's just lacks consistency. I think that's the problem with it. The recoil control can be kind of all over the place with this thing, so you can spec for that recoil control, but just you're going to have a lot of trade-offs if you try to do that.